art opportunities to consider with your host, author, speaker, and corporate strategist, Hunter Gaylor.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Markets Hunter. I am your host, and we are coming to you Friday, the end of the quarter, going into April, and I am joined by probably one of my favorite guests that I've interviewed. So sorry to all the other guests that I've had on here, but I'm just biased on this one. So Adamas One, the diamond company, the ultimate diamond company. I'm going to bring in CEO Jay right now. Jay, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How about yourself?
Oh, I am doing really great. I'm super stoked to talk to you today, Jay, because obviously we're at the end of the quarter. We saw some good movement, over this past quarter with obviously the company from the last time we talked. And as you know, we're going to be doing these conversations on a regular basis because we like finding diamonds in the rough. And everybody knows that this is the Diamond Hand special segment with the CEO of Adamas One, Jay. So we have you finally, which is great. Everyone that is the market hunters know we like to dive right into the questioning, so we're just going to hit it head on. Recent press release came out. This was March 28th. Reactors are reaching their full production capacity. Adamas One anticipates more than $12 million in annual revenue from the current factory. That seems like great news, Jay. So I'd love for you to talk about that recent press that came out and what that means for you and the company.
Well, it's great news for us, and especially for our shareholders, for a handful of reasons. Obviously, when we looked in, we did our IPO, we set aside some of the IPO funds to bring the current factory up to full capacity. So we have 12 reactors there right now. So to bring up with capacity, whether it was good materials for growing, we brought in some extra post-production, lasers, etc. So now that we have the ability to flip everything on all 12 reactors with 50 stones in each reactors, like we talked about on our first segment, and really grow to capacity. And what that means at growing to capacity, look, we stagger them out. So our 30-day grow process, each machine will have 5 to 6 carat rough diamonds come out of each one of those. And then we stagger those out after we put them through post-processing, sent for cut and polish. It means we really start seeing revenues of $1 million to $1.2 million easily a month starting midsummer. So we're pretty pumped on that, and it's great for us.
Yeah, no, I think it's incredible trajectory. The beautiful thing about Markets Hunter, and not to just plug the platform, but I mean, after we had your last interview, YouTube, we had over 3,000 views on this video alone. So that tells me that people are very interested in this luxury sector, specifically when it comes to diamonds. And I actually personally, from a humanitarian standpoint, really like the messaging of what you're doing, because I want people to understand, like last time, a diamond is a diamond. And I want to go into that. The unique part of the trademark that you have of the original lab-grown diamond. Talk to us about what that means from a GIS certification, that a diamond is a diamond. For people that might think, well, it's lab-grown. This is a chemical process here. Walk us through that.
Sure. I mean, you look at the chemical makeup of a diamond, right? A diamond is a diamond. So the carbon structure for it, if it's a diamond, the carbon structure, hardest substance on earth is a diamond, right? You look at different carbon structures, lubricant, as soft as a lubricant to as hard as, the 10 on the most scales of a diamond. We create physically, chemically, optically identical diamonds as a mine diamond. The only difference, like the FTC came out in 2018, he said, and I'll reiterate this, is the only difference is one comes out of the earth, one comes out of a safe, happy environment called a laboratory, right? And that's a big differentiation. And we say that, we're a true ESG company, not just from an optics standpoint, from a real standpoint, right? And we make a real diamond. So it's trying to say we're not synthetic. Synthetics, moissanite, cubic zirconia, glass, right? I mean, you look at true synthetics, we're an actual diamond.
Yeah, and I think that's a major point that I want people to really understand when you look at it from the fundamental aspects of the business. These are the things that when people are looking into understanding, this is the importance of doing their research and understanding the difference, because what you're doing is not a CZ, right? It's chemically a diamond. And that's why when someone can have that purchasing power, knowing that they are getting what it is that they're getting, there is no I think that's an important aspect of this.
And there's a lot of buyer beware out there. It's like anytime there's a new category, it's like the wild, wild west. And people send me stuff through social media and be like, look, I can get a lab grown diamond for $100 a carat. I go, it's impossible, right? Just cut and polish, sir. And I said, go ahead and order. They order it, and it's a cubic zirconia. It doesn't say it's a lab grown diamond in the ad. It says it's lab grown, right? You're like,
Right.
oh, it's missing the diamond aspect of it. Another trick that they do is they'll take a cubic zirconia or a moissanite and they grow CVD on top of it. They grow an actual diamond substance and substrate over the top of the fake diamond, and then it will test as a real diamond. That's one of the things you got to always beware and be careful who you're purchasing from. That's why it's like, look, we do a seed to sale of our stones. We do everything in-house. We even manufacture our own jewelry now for our El Jolie website, our e-commerce site. So it's always be careful what you buy.
So going on that, I want to, buyer beware. From a markets hunter perspective and from a platform, people come and they watch this programming to learn about the companies and hear from the CEOs and where their companies are going and their growth. We had a very tumultuous past couple of weeks in the market with the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. A lot of people are weary about having their money in banks. We saw a run on banks, right? We saw people running. How is this affecting the luxury market from your perspective?
I mean, we look at it, obviously the biggest fear in everyone's mind is a repetition of 2008, right? Everyone's worried about the collapse of the banking system, collapse of the housing, subsequently the housing system, and, as well. So luxury good items, it's where's the best bang for your buck and where is it safe to park your money? When we talk about diamonds, very safe, right? Because they're only increasing in value over time because it's scarcity, as well as they're small. So you don't need to store them. There's not a big storage facility. Easy to move, easy maneuver around. So you'll see gold is going up again. Diamonds are going up in value. And you'll see an increased buying in luxury goods because people know if they're buying a true luxury good, that it's going to hold and maintain its value. I mean, people are always been reticent about keeping money in a bank, especially if it's only $100,000 insured by the FDIC. That's kind of scary.
Right. And I think that's a very interesting point. So your company had no exposure to the fall of Silicon Valley Bank, which I think speaks, volumes to the financial decisions that you've made as a company, but also the fact that we're seeing a rising trend of people acquiring more goods and luxury items because they know that, like, even the watch world, we're seeing a lot of people put money in watches and some of these higher end things because of the appreciation. Artwork, same thing. So I think that speaks testaments. Jay, I want to take a step back and I want to go to something that I think is very important, right? And that's the social and environmental impact that your company is having. Okay, the positive social and environmental impact that's having. And I don't think that this conversation necessarily covers well across most networks, but I really want to amplify that message here. There is we talked about it last time with, everyone's seen the movie Blood Diamond, but walk us through the importance of this and what the actual statistics are behind what really goes on with the mined diamonds.
Right. I mean, and look, there's a category for mined diamonds, but if you want to be socio-friendly and eco-conscious and socio-conscious, you're going to understand the variable aspects around mined diamonds, right? You look at 70 to 75% of all mined diamonds being sold in the marketplace are from conflict areas, insurgencies, conflict areas. Why is that important? Because in some aspect, you're supporting that insurgency. So you're putting direct money into the hands of warlords, right? People with draconian aspects that aren't the nicest to the people mining the diamonds, right? We've all seen the movie Blood Diamonds or heard of it, and it's true. It's a reality. And now when you add Russia into that as well, Russia is definitely considered a conflict area as well. And you look at everything that's been put on and the restrictions that have put on from an economic standpoint around Russia and the sanctions. Now you look at, they supplied just over 20% of the world's diamonds into the retail sector. Now they're also tossed into that as well. So for people who really want to be social, environmentally conscious, they're going to come over to the lab grown diamond for a handful of reasons, like we just talked about, as well as the economic value, more bang for your buck, and you're getting a diamond. So I think it's important that we designate and delineate ourselves. When we originally came out, 4 years ago with lab-grown diamonds and the market started growing, people saying a lab-grown diamond was almost a negative thing. right? The mine diamond groups, whether it's De Beers or whomever, wanted to force us into a corner and say, oh, you have to say you're lab grown. And even right now, there's no law that says I have to state that I'm a lab grown diamond, but I prefer to do it. I want to be known as a lab grown diamond company because what we represent and what we dictate and mandate going forward for the ecosystem as well for mankind. And I think it's important.
Well, and I think that's you're owning your identity. And I think that's great from a marketing and branding perspective. We always like to see that. So I think that's an incredibly smart approach when it comes to, the messaging and the differentiation. You mentioned a couple of things, and I want to talk about for a second the importance of supply chain. Obviously, there was a global pandemic. That's the big elephant in the room. Tough banking situations right now, but the company, obviously, with this new press release, is growing. The enterprise aspect of what you're doing, this is all made in America. Your facilities are, I want to make sure this is correct, in Georgia, correct?
Greenville, South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Very close to Georgia, though.
yes, very close. But so they're in South Carolina.
Correct.
So that means for companies, enterprise companies that want to take advantage of getting the resource of a diamond for some of these enterprise applications, they'd be more wise to have control over their supply chain, dealing with a lab-grown diamond as opposed to working with these mine diamond organizations?
So there's obviously a much more controls of the variables, right? Consistent output is one of the main things when you're looking at supply chain. So I think it's important for the lab-grown diamond industry, first of all, the accountability, right? Mm-hmm. Put out a good product. Be honest with the consumer of what you're selling them, right? Because there's different people that will layer a lab-grown diamond, so we can almost call them a cheater, and they also post-process, but they're not letting the consumer know that they're post-processing to get a better color. They do it in the mine diamond industry as well as in the lab-grown diamond, so they can take a J color diamond and make it a G, right?
Oh, wow.
Which makes the value go up higher. So it's really important to be aware of what you're buying. And generally, 98% of the lab-grown diamonds are coming out of Asia or out of India, and they're not really forthright with their post-processing and how they're processing the diamonds. So I think it's, like that buyer beware aspect. It's an education process that I think that's needed in this industry. Just like when De Beers came out with the 4 C's to educate people on, color, clarity, cut, and size, right? Was a smart thing to do to educate the consumer. We knew it's our responsibility as a lab-grown diamond industry to educate them as well. So we want to make sure we educate them. We want to make sure there's consistency in delivery in the chain, in the process, in the supply chain, and we want to make sure we deliver what we say we're going to follow through on.
Jay, on that note, I want to talk about, you mentioned the e-commerce site. Talk to us. That's your background. You've been very successful in that. Obviously, we talked about last time moving into the e-commerce space for consumers. Walk us through that process. Where are you in the process? And when will people be able to start, interacting with the e-commerce site of your company?
So we're in the process of building the e-commerce site right now. If you look there, we hired Levitate to build it out. They're probably top 5, top 10 in the world right now for building and maintaining and managing sites. So the site's going to be eljolie.com. We're halfway through the beta right now. We're shooting some of the artwork for assets. So we're doing a model search. You'll see that coming up in a press release as well. So
I'm right here.
Here we go. You're number 1. Top
there
of the
we
list.
Go. Love it.
So we're doing all of our designs. We've got about half of the designs already done as far as finished goods and samples. So we've been going through the team, making sure the quality is Van Cleef, Cartier, Louis Vuitton, as good, if not better. So we're very particular on the quality of the product. Everything we did designed in-house, which was great with Adam Campbell. So as we build up the asset base, now we're taking a big chunk of our inventory that we're growing, and we're using them to build out our inventory for our commercial cell line. So we look to launch that actually in September. We'll do a big pre-launch, you'll see. End of July, August will be a massive pre-launch with yourself, big social media influencers, whether it's Gabrielle Union, D Wade, whoever, Kardashians. So we'll look to really reach out within our immediate network and push hard through the influencer program and really launch our brand pretty well.
Well, I'm very excited for that too. And I just want to let, for all of our viewers that are either listening on Spotify or iHeartRadio or any of our podcasts, or if you're watching this video on YouTube or across all of our networks, we will put the investor relations link below. So anyone from the business community that's interested in learning more about the development of the company will be able to go to those links along with all the other links to the company as well, so that you'll be able to do obviously your own research and hopefully your purchase of a Adamas One El Jolie diamond, right? So I think that's really exciting. Jay, just kind of a couple more questions for today's segment. One, the growth from the reactor side, kind of going back to the press release, what is your track record for the next, quarter? We're coming out of this quarter, we're going into, Q2. What's your goals for Q2, Q3, Q4? Give us some thoughts on where you want to see yourself.
So I always look at, no matter what, it's my responsibility and job as a CEO and for a company that we need to always be growing, right? Show growth in one aspect. Just doesn't have to be revenue growth. We always want to make sure we're growing as a company and increasing our shareholder value. So for us, we want to make sure this quarter we released, we already grew from the last one, the next one. So we want to maintain a slow growth rate no matter what. So when we look at towards the end of the summer, coming into what's our fourth quarter, because we're off physical, we want to make sure that we're getting to the capacity revenue numbers of that million per month. So 3 million a quarter, 3.5 million a quarter. And then as we start sprinkling in retail, those numbers start growing from the wholesale numbers, right? So we want to make sure as we start getting more of a balance towards higher retail, because our margins are stronger in retail, obviously, and then finished goods. So we want to make sure we constantly strive to increase that top line. And then I think you might see some acquisitions that dramatically increase that top line as well.
Well, okay, that's good. That gives us a lot of really great things to look forward to. On the growth side, on the retail side, specifically on the e-commerce, obviously we look to companies, we spoke about this last time, the Blue Niles of the world, these kind of e-commerce where I can go do my sizes and will the and it's El Jolie, correct? I'm saying that correct. El Jolie. When I go to El Jolie as a consumer, will the company cover all aspects of the diamond purchase, meaning the sizing, the ring, the fit, all of it in one, or is it just buying the diamond and then they have to, take it somewhere to a jeweler? Is it a one-stop shop?
One-stop shop. So for us, El Jolie will be finished goods. Finished goods is meaning finished jewelry, tennis necklaces, tennis bracelets, finished rings, earrings, pendants, etc. So that will be our focus with El Jolie. We'll also offer raw stones, finished loose stones. So we'll offer that as well. But our focus is really going to be finished jewelry. And then we'd like to develop into bespoke jewelry, meaning that you can show us a design you like or look at some of our designs and we custom manufacture that for you and have it to you within 14 days. And that's kind of a goal. I mean, you always look at your business plan and here's where we want to go. So that's something down the road as we see a demand for that coming. We want to make sure we have the ability to service that demand.
Yeah, and I think that's always a question because, people are looking when they go to these e-commerce sites, they want the one-stop shop, right? Can I get all of my needs here? Do I have to bounce around? And that goes back to the supply chain. So that's really exciting news to hear about both the finished goods, but then the idea that, hey, if I'm going to go purchase a diamond ring, if I'm going to go, get a gift or something like that, then this is where I'm going. And I think that's obviously the ultimate goal of what you're looking at here. So.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to confuse people. Too many options. Like if you sell loose stone, be like, I don't know what to do with them. I bought it on a loose diamond. How do I make it into a ring, right? And then if there's too many options, it confuses people as well. When you see El Jolie come in, it's going to be as simple as possible, right? Too many whistles and bells. I learned a long time ago when I started, in the e-commerce career or with building websites and launching our websites, that all the whistles and bells that you think these are amazing, no one uses them, right? You spend all the time and resources to build this out. And you find people go there for certain things, whatever they're going to that site for, that's all they want. Within 3 clicks, if they can't buy it and they're out, you're done. You lost that as a customer. So we try to make sure that efficiently and effectively we get what you want and get it to you as quickly as possible.
Well, and that's the name of the game. So I think that's really great. Jay, is there anything else that you want to leave our audience with this week, or anything that we should be, keeping our ear to the ground on, or are they just going to have to wait for our next interview?
I think it's always fun to leave them hanging, right?
I like that.
I got dressed up. It's Friday.
Hey, there you go. Exactly. Well, here at the Market Hunters, we do have the guys on the street that are on the tie, but we're slowly changing the narrative here. So, we're going to make it cool and fun. So
it's funny you brought that up because the road shows, the old days, always 3-piece suit, bow tie, beautiful, like dress. I used to go and everything custom made, all my suits.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
the
yeah.
last road show I did when we launched Ammo, right? When we did POWW. And Fred and I, which is my partner, we walk in and the first thing we walk in the meeting and no one's dressed up. We look like we were antiques. Everyone's like, here come the old guys. Like, oh, so Wall Street doesn't dress like this anymore. It's changed.
Right. Well, and I will tell you, it's interesting. From a media perspective, it's all about, what can you do to kind of stand out? And, from a millennial perspective, at least the Markets Hunter, that's what we look to. So that's the fun aspect. But anyway, Jay, always great to have you on the program. We look forward to having you here again. We're going to keep these conversations going for our audience. So these are, every, week to, 14 days, we're having these conversations with these companies because we want this front and center and we want to be with the company throughout their overall growth from, their inception to, when they're, at their peak. And that's really kind of the exciting point of really following businesses and being involved. So Jay, thank you so much for joining the program today. And we look forward to having you again next time.
Hunter, thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
I will. Same to you. All right. Thank you, everyone, joining for another episode of Markets Hunter with the CEO of Adamas One. Incredible company. Obviously, we really are looking forward to the e-commerce coming out. That's his background and what he was known for. So I think it's some exciting opportunities, in this company. All links will be in our descriptions below. Make sure you follow us on LinkedIn, our Twitter, our YouTube, on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and we are streaming this. So if you miss the episode today, don't worry. Come back to the platform. This will be pinned on at least my Twitter for, the next week or so with this particular interview. And it'll be airing several times throughout the week on all the platforms. So make sure that, you take some time and watch it and get the information and make sure you follow the companies. I always tag all the companies with their social media. So, like and share their information out as well to the community. And that's, rising tide lifts all ships. So it's really good to, help the companies as well and join us on the journey with us in helping the companies as we, kind of expand their reach. So especially from a business aspect, right? The diamond industry and the luxury market is really an exciting market. It's a growth market, and it's a well-branded market. But at the same time, there is business behind it. So we want to make sure that we're following the business aspects and how the company is growing because we want to see the company succeed. That's the name of the game. So thank you, everyone, for joining on another episode of Markets Hunter. And we look forward to having you back next time. Stay tuned.